Hi everyone, today we were going to discuss play in early childhood. As you remember, last week you took a survey on topics that we could discuss, and this is where you wanted to go with the class. So the information found in this presentation correlates with the information from Chapter 5 in your textbook. And then we actually also identified goals that you hope to, things that you hope to learn, goals that you hope to achieve from this chapter. So first and foremost, we talked about that we needed to explore the definitions of childhood play. And then in order to understand the definitions, we needed to review the theories. So we're going to briefly brush over those as that was one of the topics of least interest. We're going to learn about cognitive and social play types. And one of the most important things that you said you wanted to learn about was the benefits of play to the child's development. And then the last thing, and one of the most important things that I feel that you need to know from this content area is how to identify the adult's role in facilitating childhood play. So that is really going to be where we start to apply what we know about play. So the first thing, defining play is a difficult task. So as you know, in your work groups, you were asked to define play and individually, and then to come up with one definition collectively after you had shared it with one another. So we've already talked about defining play as a difficult task. So many other points of view, controversial points of view on play is that, yeah, it's fun, but is it frivolous? Is there any meaning behind play for children? It's so difficult to rationalize for some people. It's completely out of their realm of thought, so they can't really get a grasp on play. But one thing that we decided on is that as early childhood professionals, we need to develop a strong rationale, a strong reasoning behind play in early childhood. So that means that we have to define what constitutes play. So there are certain things that make up play, certain characteristics. We need to identify the many benefits of play, because there are many, and they are actually recognized by many agencies. And we need to clarify any misconceptions that are out there that exist about play, and there are many of those as well. It's very controversial. Okay, so when we define play, there are certain characteristics. Play is active. It is not passive. Now, in order for it to be considered play, the children must be engaged and actively involved. This means that children are most likely going to be utilizing their large or gross motor skills as well as their small or those fine motor skills. So if you look in on a child playing, you are likely to see that they are moving around, they're talking, they're very active in the process. They are not just passively sitting by. Also, there has to be choice. So play is child selected. That means that they have a choice whether or not they want to participate in it, which if they have a choice and they are doing it, there's likely to be increased motive. So it's a pleasurable activity. That means it's something that they want to do, and that has to be the case for it to be considered play. Oftentimes, this means that the activity will be focused on the process of what is happening while the children are playing versus the final product that is completed. So this is sometimes challenging for us as adults to accept, because we can get so caught up in wanting things to be done the quote-unquote correct way that we lose sight of what children are actually learning in the process. So there is more of a process orientation versus a product. We're not focused on whether the cow is brown or purple. We're just focused on how they got to the cow. How did they draw the cow? The process of creating the cow. And then so likely there's going to be a mindset, which means that reality will be suspended, which is, and when they use their imagination, when those creative activities and thoughts and ideas are really flowing. So they have that playful mindset. It doesn't have to be done the correct way. They can really substitute items when they're playing, and they just have that playful mindset. Okay, so some descriptors of play. There are several theorists who actually describe play. Froebel was one of the first ones. He said it's essential, necessary, and it's a beautiful thing. So playing in early childhood is beautiful. John Dewey said that it's meaningful. Simply doing the activity gives it value. So just engaging in the activity gives it value. Erickson said that there's a severe contrast with what is called work, what we as adults consider work. But play is children's work, so that's very important. Vygotsky said it's key to overall development. And Elkind said that it's nature's way of dealing with stress. So there are some viewpoints on play and some descriptors of play from the theorist that are very important to consider. Okay, so now we're going to talk about why children play. The theories, we're going to run through this very quickly. The classical theories is surplus energy, and this is what you'll hear a lot of parents and maybe some early childhood professionals say today, that it is just a vehicle for expending that extra energy. So they play to get rid of that extra energy. Then relaxation, they play because there's a deficit. They need to replenish their energy. Pre-exercise means that they are, it was thought that they may have been playing to practice skills necessary for adult life, and pretend play develops abilities. Now the contemporary or more modern theories of play, there's the psychoanalytic, the pleasure principle by Freud. He said that pleasure is achieved through wish fulfillment. Play therapy, and in play therapy, play has a significant therapeutic value. The contributions of play as play therapy are very important. Repetition compulsion is when we replay unpleasant experiences to diminish the intensity. Okay, so that means that they may engage in play and replay these unpleasant experiences that may have happened, and it helps to diminish or lessen the intensity of the experience. So it's a way of coping. It's a coping mechanism. Okay. Then Ellis said play can be a vehicle for arousal seeking, so it's to avoid boredom or overstimulation. People strive to reach the right level of excitement, and it can be for a stimulus or for thrill seeking. Children may play. And then Piaget said cognitive structures, so it helps to add to schema or conceptual understandings. So they may actually engage in play to add to what they already know, to expand. Okay, so cognitive and social play. Cognitive identifies intellectual functioning of children during play, so we're talking about brain development and those cognitive abilities. So it's functional from birth to 2. Children will do simple repetitive muscle movements as a vehicle for play. Construction is from 2 to 3 years old, where they're creating and building things. Dramatic play is from ages 3 to 7, and that's that increased pretend play. They'll likely substitute items for real things they have at home, or they may act out things from home, pretend to be mom, dad, or even the dog. So that's that increased time of pretend play. And then from ages 7 on up, there's increased participation in game with rules. So they want those concrete rules. They accept the rules and they accept the penalties that come along with them. So it's more about that concrete play. Okay, social play. So there are a variety of types of social play. One is solitary, and that's when they play independently. Parallel is when they play beside, but not with anyone else. They just play beside them. Associative is when they are truly engaged with others in play. Cooperative is when they're actually working towards a common goal in play. And cooperative competitive is when they're working towards a team victory. So like in organized sports, or if you're playing a game with rules at your child care center, you're likely to see cooperative competitive. And that's for the older age groups mostly. Okay, so now the benefits of play. Benefits of play, as I mentioned before, are actually recognized by a variety of agencies. such as the American Academy of Pediatrics, the International Play Association, the Association for Childhood Education International, the Alliance for Play, and then the National Association for Education of Young Children, or NACE. Okay, so let's talk about what some of the benefits are for play. There is intellectual growth, which is multi-sensory experiences. So it's natural, it's enjoyable, they're engaging in all 5 senses. Effective problem solving. So convergent versus divergent thinking. Convergent thinking is when, that means there's many options versus one option or one way to do things. So that's effective problem solving. They're engaging in the intellectual benefit. Mastering abstract symbolism. So this occurs when they start playing in that dramatic play and they start to substitute items and symbolize other things. Okay, social benefits of play. They are building social skills, so they're learning about those social roles. They're decreasing egocentrism and learning to see things from another perspective. And they're starting to understand the rules of social interaction, listening, speaking, taking turns, leading, following, negotiation, and compromise. So they're really starting to learn those the rules for socialization. They're learning about the roles in society. They're learning that the world is not just about me, 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 but there are people do think differently and feel differently than I do. Okay, so the language benefits. They play with sounds and noises, play with their linguistic system, spontaneous rhyming and wordplay. They're really starting to develop that language system, and this occurs through nonsensical sounds sometimes, things that don't make sense to us as adults, but they are actually learning and developing those language systems. The physical benefits, they're developing those large and small motor skills, or gross and fine motor skills. They are actually learning the hand-eye coordination, developing an awareness of body and spatial awareness, and it's promoting their healthy young bodies. So as we know, there is an issue with obesity right now in America, and so that physical play actually counteracts that. Okay, and now the emotional benefits. So play is an excellent vehicle for helping children with emotional development. They can master those emotional issues that arise. So if they ever feel anxious, frustrated, they're likely get in conflicts with their peers and get angry. So they are actually working through those problems and problem solving. And it gives children an opportunity to actually feel good about themselves, which doesn't happen a lot. Okay, the creativity benefits are, there's 3 elements. So personal characteristics, they're learning to be flexible, spontaneous, and curious. Intellectual is a way of thinking. They can become open-minded and see that there are different ways to solve problems. And creative products, they're a precursor to adult original contribution. Okay, so how can we facilitate childhood play? We prepare the environment, in which we talked about last week. Indoors and outdoors, we create a climate for play and allow plenty of time. Make encouraging statements to children while they are playing. We promote the importance of play to families. We let them know and understand the values of play. Provide the evidence that they need for how play enhances learning. We can share information, recent research on play. Okay, so as a summary, we defined play. We talked about why children play, the theories behind it. We talked about cognitive and social play, the benefits of play, and facilitating childhood play. You all have a video to watch at home, and then we're going to role play when you come to class next week. So thanks, and I hope you enjoyed this mini lecture on play, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you.